Recording is now in progress. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to WRIT 1003. I am so glad to see your faces and your names in little black squares again. And welcome to Portfolio 3. I think this is going to be a fun one because what you're going to be doing is comparing two advertising campaigns. You will have a choice of products that fall into the categories that I'll be going through later on in the class. I forgot to put cars on it, but cars is of course one of them. The goals for this particular portfolio, the overall learning objective is to learn to analyze visuals and multimedia for ethics and choices made. And also, you're going to be producing a short video with a voiceover to show the findings from your campaign or your campaigns. In the middle of the portfolio, you will have one exercise. You will be analyzing your two advertising campaigns for representation, which we'll be going into. That's a textual assignment that you can use towards your video. So this is going to be fun. For those of you who haven't done it before, it's an introduction to how to make a video. But importantly, it's also going to make you more aware of what you watch on a daily basis, because we are surrounded by not just advertising, but videos and images on an everyday basis. That's going to make you more conscious of your choices when you're producing materials. So thinking about representation, thinking about things like camera angles, or why did I choose this image to illustrate this text? The motivation, I'll be showing you a video in a minute. Motivation is because as writers and creators and producers, you need to think about the ethical choices that you make, especially with images, whether they're still or moving, and also with factual claims. So analyzing other people's work for representation, power, and other issues does make you more conscious about the ethical or unethical choices they've made, and more conscious of your own choices, and especially the visual ones. So what we're going to be learning during this portfolio is to analyze for representation, who's included, who's omitted, who's commodified. We're going to learn to analyze camera angles, sound, and other multimedia storytelling methods. So how's the story being told and who has the power? We're going to be fact checking for accuracy, and we're going to be critically questioning the choices that companies have made to find out how they're trying to persuade you to buy or use their products. And then finally, you're going to be designing and making a short video. Let me assure you, I have a choice for video editing software that is free, that works across multiple platforms. You don't have to use it, but I wanted to make sure everyone had access. So to give you an example of why study advertising, and an example of somebody else who did just that. Here is an award-winning video by a third-year student. It actually won the Dean's Award for digital media. And all I have to do is get it up. By the way, there are workers in my building today, and my internet seems a bit unstable. If I drop out for any given reason, then I will obviously have to record the lecture asynchronously and post it.
In the 21st century, everything is about.
Move you back to the beginning. I am going to share screen with sound. Can you see the video on screen? Even though it's not moving yet? Yes. Great. Thank you. So I'm going to optimize this and play it. It's about 7 minutes long. Enjoy it. She's very funny. And please let me know if you cannot hear the sound.
In the 21st century, everything is about you, the individual. You can do anything. If you're willing to put the work in, you've got to grind and hustle and really be willing to push yourself to extremes to achieve success. In our Western neoliberal capitalistic society, if you focus on positivity, nothing can hold you back. Seriously, nothing. And don't say systemic racism, sexism, xenophobia, homophobia, or poverty. But if you are feeling dissatisfied, buy something and then don't feel like that anymore. You see, advertising is just as embedded in our culture as we are, and it takes meanings from culture, appropriates it with new meanings, and feeds it back to us. As we become more socially isolated, advertising has filled the gaps in our social fabric, promising to meet non-material needs like fun, love, happiness, and health. But how can you reach your potential despite your exhaustion? Well, with a bang, of course. Bang energy, that is. Bang Energy works within a neoliberal framework to promote so-called grind culture and hegemonic masculinity to primarily American youth. Bang sexualizes and objectifies women to sell its products and promises energy and health to adolescents it reaches through social media influencers. Bang wastes no time in asserting its message is all about being bigger, faster, stronger, and, well, better than everyone else. Its ideologies are present in the product description itself that lets you know that, quote, every 16-ounce can of Bang, that's right, no wimpy 12-ounce cans here, contains 300 milligrams of caffeine. That's right, they've personified the can. And it's manly as hell. In addition to 300 milligrams of caffeine, which is about 3 times the amount of caffeine in a Red Bull, Bang boasts 0 sugar and 0 calories and super creatine. Super creatine appears to be, at best, just creatine, and at worst, something CEO Jack Owoc just sort of made up. But don't worry, he's elected himself chief scientific officer of the company, and he was a high school science teacher, so surely he has the necessary qualifications to do such. Plus, he used to run VPX, or Vital Pharmaceuticals, which was also an energy drink and supplement company, known for the energy drink Redline, which could potentially make you flatline, as pointed out in a class action lawsuit. But don't worry, you can trust Jack. He started Bang because he was tired of all the lies and the deception that other supplement companies use, so he would never use flashy colors, fun drink names, and scientific-sounding words to market to adolescents. He also wouldn't objectify women to sell his products or promote heteronormativity and hegemonic masculinity, and he certainly wouldn't use young influencers with a large fan base of impressionable youth. Except he did, and he does. He does do that. As of 2015, half of the energy drink market consisted of adolescents and young adults. Studies have also found many teens carry misconceptions about the health values of energy drinks, with nearly 20% of teens stating that they are safe for teens to drink, and 12% asserting that they are a type of sports drink. Well, Bang CEO has certainly capitalized on that misconception, as he has branded Bang as healthy amongst a slew of other things. Despite the growing body of evidence which points to health concerns and adverse psychological effects, and even long-term emotional, social, and behavioral effects in youth, Bang Energy promises to give sustained energy and enhanced performance, whether it be physical or mental. See, neoliberal ideologies place the responsibility on individuals to be successful, and it is in this context that so-called grind culture thrives. But it isn't easy to push yourself through all the signs your body sends you to slow down and rest, but to somehow ascend a capitalistic system that can only stand on the backs of the marginalized and oppressed, you have to work yourself to the bone, and you're praised for it. You need to treat your body like a machine. It has to be optimized. That is at the very core of the body maintenance industry, the notion that bodies aren't to be accepted as they are, but that they're capable of being transformed and reconstructed until they reach perfection. Bang Energy situates itself as something to get you there. We see this in Bang's CEO. Who wouldn't want to be like Jack, who is jacked in his, 90s? I mean, clearly he is successful. Look, he has young ladies putting jewelry on for him. In terms of promotion, Bang Energy gets the attention of youth on TikTok by using young influencers who give Bang an opportunity to advertise to their audience. These young influencers have successfully self-branded. They are micro-celebrities that mark the extension of a consumerist ideology and orientation to practically every area of contemporary cultural life and the totalizing rise of largely neoliberal values, ideals, and assumptions. Youth especially seem convinced that good looks, good living, and copious consumption warrant adoration and emulation. These young influencers have plenty of youth watching them, eager to be like them, and consequently consume like them. Bang cans are strategically, or strangely, positioned within influencers' TikToks. They're often worked into skits and dance trends. In this context, Bang presents its drinks as a way to have fun and be energetic. Look how happy the influencers are. Oh my gosh, they're so silly and quirky. Look how happy JoJo Siwa is, who is 17 by the way, with her Bang. Oh my gosh, and Danielle too, who was involved in a scandal while she claims to be 15. Her father has recently gone public and said that she is 13. Though even if she was 15, it would be problematic to have her promise happiness and health to audiences her age and even younger. Nonetheless, promotion continues on TikTok, which is relevant in and of itself. TikTok stated that as of 2019, approximately 60% of its 26.5 million monthly active users in the United States are between 16 and 24 years of age, making it an ideal venue to market to youth. Interestingly, unlike other influencers who advertise, Bang influencers don't ever actually say anything about Bang or even acknowledge it. Typically, influencers utilize advertorial instigation, where they circulate information and encourage followers to generate similar content on an amplified scale. But Bang Energy is positioned as a natural in this context and thus spikes the curiosity in young adolescents. So now that these young people want to get their hands on Bang to help them be as fun and healthy as the influencers they idolize, they naturally want to know more. So they can head over to Bang's Instagram for more information? Or, their website, which is, not that different at all. Bang utilizes conventionally attractive, physically fit, young and primarily white women to sell its products and ideology. Women are objectified, their bodies are used as props to position Bang in a sexualized and appealing context for male consumers. As exemplified by their, I guess this is workout clothing, which offers none of the support necessary for a workout, but okay, Bang? Given the fact young people have spent the last year clinging to social media to escape the difficult realities of the global pandemic, promising them energy, happiness, and health is incredibly problematic. But what does Bang care, right? Working within a neoliberal framework, they alleviate themselves from ever bearing the responsibility for the harm they may inflict by promoting grind or hustle culture, hegemonic masculinity, and objectifying women. Sure, there are huge social and institutional issues looming ever larger throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, and sure, teens' mental health is rapidly deteriorating, but don't let that get you down. Happiness, health, and fitness is just one, not wimpy, can of Bang away, so suck it up, drink it down, and put on a smile. And remember,
if you ain't training, you ain't gaining. If you ain't banging, you ain't hanging.
Whatever the hell that means.
What if you could get rid of your kitchen garbage at the push of a button? Hey, I'm Matt from
Pila, and I want to introduce you to my friend
Turn
Logan.
it off.
At Pila, we're a team of engineers and material scientists, and we believe
Now
that
keep going. I'm persuaded. I want to know.
So, what did you think of that? So you're not going to be doing exactly that. That was done by a third-year student in communications. You don't have to talk about neoliberal culture. There was a remarkable amount of sarcasm in there, yes, and she is very funny. She's also done a very complex video, and you're not expected to do that. By the way, if you didn't get the message, energy drinks are just energy drinks. You can't gain health, happiness, and energy by buying them and consuming them. So you are going to be doing simplified. And one of the reasons I think you're going to have fun with this is because you get to choose your own products, your own companies. As long as you choose two competing products that are the same. In other words, you can't compare, say, a car to a computer. Then you have free range within the categories listed to pick out whatever you want. You are going to be doing more about who's shown, who's not shown, who the target audience is than this video did. Although the student did actually cover part of that. You're also going to be looking at the visuals more, although this student did cover that. So you don't need a theoretical framework for this. You are simply going to be looking at advertising campaigns, analyzing them, looking at representation, looking at who has power, looking at the visuals, and then producing your own video. You don't have to shoot your own footage. You can show still images or video clips from your advertising campaigns. You never have to show your face. Your analysis is going to come in your voiceover. So you will be doing a voiceover on your video. You get to design it. You get to be deliciously sarcastic if you so choose, or you can be quite serious if that's the tone you. The description of both the exercise and the final product, your video, is already up on eClass so that you can see it. In order to get you there, though, I love the comments that are showing up in chat. To get you there, though, there are a few things that we have to study, one of which is how do you analyze images? Because we don't just look at them and say, oh, that's pretty, or that's horrible, or whatever. There is, going to share my screen again, there is a methodology to it. So today we're going to be looking at reading images. We're going to start with still ones, and we are going to take a quick look at moving images towards the end of the class. I would point out that this methodology is adapted from Gunther, Kress, and Theo van Leeuwen's reading images, the grammar of images. So when you start to look at an actual image in Western culture, because I want to point out that Western culture reads generally from left to right. This method may not work for art from other cultures, and I want to make that clear. So in Western art, the left side of the screen is usually the old or the traditional or the status quo. And the right side is usually the new or the non-traditional or the disruption to the status quo. If we look at this ad, please note it's for Ubmark Opticians from Brussels, Belgium. It's a cartoon. It has a truck driver on the left. It then has the supposed truck driver put on a pair of glasses and turn into Dr. Professor. So presumably this person's, other people's perception of this person is instantly going to be changed by the mere fact of putting on glasses, says she, taking off her own. So I wonder what stereotype I'm supposed to fit when I take my glasses off, and what new look or what new stereotype I'm supposed to fit by putting it on again. Please note that these are stereotypes. The one on the left is what a truck driver is supposed to look like. And the one on the right is what a professor is supposed to look like. She says, going, I'm a professor, I'm a professor. So ads usually ask you to buy into a particular lifestyle. If you think you look like a truck driver and that a pair of glasses can change you into a Dr. Professor, they're trying to persuade you to do that. This is only one of a number of cartoon-like images that this particular optical company put out. And I have to say, the number of stereotypes I found of their images was truly shocking. What we have to remember is there's a principle involved here, moving from the left to the right. The left is the status quo, the right is the new image that's being bought into. We also have to remember that some ads do tend to reinforce stereotypes, as this one does. Next, one of the things we look for is what the eye is drawn to. What part of the drawing or art is our eye drawn to? There's usually a focal point in every image. We then look at the vectors, which is the angles and the lines that are contained in the image to see where our eye is led. Now, let me ask you, when you look at this image for the first time, what's the first thing that your eye is drawn to? Getting answers coming in, your eye is drawn to the can. And what are the vectors? What is this image telling us? So the can, or the person on the can, or the two together, but distinctly and definitely, the center of this image is the Red Bull can with the person on it. The color in the can is more intense than the colors used for the person sitting on it. There is also a distinct color in the logo that someone's eyes were drawn to. So when we look at this image, it's can plus human. And then when we look at the angle, Amanda's got it right. It's telling me I can fly if I drink it. So in this instance, drink Red Bull to give you fuel to fly. And of course, the text at the bottom reinforces the image. Text and image usually work together, but you do have to be careful because they can also contradict one another, not just in advertising. So we have this happy picture of a cartoon-like figure. And the vector is diagonal. So it's going from bottom left to top right. The little clouds in the background tell us this is in the sky. And the text says Red Bull gives you wings. In this particular instance, that is the campaign's, that's their tag. That's what they use to sell. In this case, apparently Red Bull doesn't just give you wings, it gives you rocket fuel. So the second thing to look for is the focal point of the image. What is our eye drawn to and why? And then look at the vectors for what our eye is drawn to after we hit that focal point. The third thing we look for is modality. And what we're talking about here is the range from cartoon to photograph or real life. We look at the previous two slides. These were cartoons, so they have low modality. Generally speaking, with cartoons, they're more appealing because they tend to be more amusing, at least in most cases. But they also allow us to more easily insert ourselves as the person on the jet fueled can, for instance, than a photograph does. The photograph has high modality. Photographs generally represent reality. This particular photograph is from the Like a Girl 2015 campaign from Procter & Gamble. It's for feminine menstrual pads called Always. And what this advertising campaign did was break new ground. Generally speaking, ads sell lifestyle. Buy our product, you too can be like this person. What Procter & Gamble did instead was it tackled gender equality issues. The phrase, like a girl, has been used as an insult for years. Running like a girl, throwing like a girl, etc., etc. It overturned and undermined that insult by showing girls as powerful and competent, etc., etc. So girls who watch the ads see that girls can be powerful. When you look at this image, this young girl with a baseball in her hands, what do you think the expression on her face denotes? What is she telling us with that look? Confidence, determination, strong, power. Yes, all of these. This girl is going to throw that baseball. Rosita, I like the way you put it. Don't mess with me. Please note, if we go left to right, going back to that, yeah, Edgar, the dynamic pose, she has ads as well. If we go back to the first precept I told you about looking from left to right in this image, left is traditional. She's looking off to the right, which is important. She's looking off into the new. She's about to throw that baseball into the new, and that gives her power. And what's the focal point of this image for you? What draws your eye first? Okay, so we're getting three answers. We're getting the baseball, her face and eyes, and the bright colors of her tank top. Where do the vectors, where are the angles in this photograph? Where do they lead us to? Okay, what actually forms the angles in this photograph? I'll give you a hint. Yeah, her arms form angles, and this is one of the things to look for. Our eyes may land on the baseball first or her face. Her arms are leading us to the baseball, which in turn lead up to her face and that expression on it. So this is interesting. This image is full of power, and it is full of what I would call inspiration for the future. We can't see what she's looking at. We'll see in a minute. We'll talk about the relationship with the viewers. But yes, it moves from left bottom, from the baseball, up to her face. So keep in mind modality, low modality, cartoon-like figures, and high modality, the photographs represent reality. We now look at gaze, and I'm trying to find a place to put my little pictures of everyone. We look at portraits and the gaze. So when people are depicted in an image, either of these is photographs, they're both illustrations. A demand is created when the subject of the portrait is looking directly at the viewer. And Kress and Leeuwen call it an offer when the subject is looking away from the viewer. The subject of the portrait becomes an object for us to contemplate. We can see the difference very clearly in these two illustrations. I preferred not to use actual portraits for this. The first one is from 1914. It's quite famous in war history. It is it's Lord Kitchener, who was the Minister for War at the time. And he is clearly demanding that in this case, young men, women were not allowed to join the army. Young men join the army. The text reinforces it. The very large Britons at the top is a call to patriotism. The warlord, or yeah, I call him warlord, was famous for his mustache. His arm pointing out at the camera or at the viewer is quite interesting. U comes in large text, and of course the action you're supposed to take is to join your country's army. Compare this to the cover of Anne of Green Gables from the 1960s, quite a famous book by L.M. Montgomery. Anne Shirley is an 11-year-old orphan who arrives on Prince Edward Island by mistake. Well, the people who adopt her are looking for a boy, and they mistakenly get a girl. This is orphan Anne. She is looking away from the camera. There is a relatively low modality here. She's not quite a cartoon, but she is an illustration. And she is looking off to the right. So read these images for us. In the case of Lord Kitchener, that is a clear demand simply by the direction of his gaze. Why is his finger out like that? If we put ourselves in Kitchener's gaze, whereabouts are we, and who exactly is he pointing at? Yeah, he's directly pointing at us. And this is very Uncle Sam-like. In fact, when America joined the war, when the US joined the war in 1917, the US came out with a poster just like this one, but depicting Uncle Sam. He is pointing directly at the person reading the poster. So the demand is on the person reading it. And he is ordering us. It's a demand, and he is ordering us. And there's an interesting comment from Caleb about the way the font size of the word want is lowered. It's much smaller than you. So it is strategic for a call to action. And it's an interesting depiction. Thank you for that comment. Now read Anne of Green Gables for us. If you look at the left to right in this image and you look at where she's gazing, how do you read that? What's the focal point? Why is she looking off in the direction she's looking? What does that tell us? Yep, she's looking to the right. This is an offer because she's not looking directly at us. So she is more an illustration to be contemplated. It is less direct. Keep in mind, book covers are ads too. They sell the books. Yeah, Bushra, she is kind of imagining her future or her new life. So we see once again that the left is the old or the traditional. The new, you can't see it because this image is blurred. I'm sorry, I should have just taken a photograph of my own book cover. These literally are pastel castles in the air. And so she is looking off to the new, and Shirley is known for her imagination. She's looking off to the right into new and unknown territory, but according to this illustration, it's going to be a wonderful life. So for this particular cover, it is an offer. We are contemplating her. If we put ourselves in the direction of our gaze, we would be way off on an angle. The point of this illustration, of course, is that if you buy the book, you too can become Anne with her dreams, an appealing orphan. I wanted to show this after I showed you the impact in illustrations as opposed to photographs. Here are two more. Once again, one is a demand. The other is supposed to be an offer. The interesting thing about these two, by the way, which one is the Colin Kaepernick for Nike is a direct demand. He's staring directly at us. Sidney Poitier, the great actor. This is also a photographic portrait of him, but it is not an ad. And he does not make a demand on us. Yes, Sidney Poitier did pass away a few days ago, and I included this portrait as a tribute to him. Such a great actor and such a fine man. His is an offer because he's not looking directly at us. Do you notice a pattern here with people gazing off to the right, though? Can you name that pattern for us? If you look at Sidney Poitier, if you think of Anne of Green Gables, you seeing any kind of pattern about people gazing off to the right? The girl in the photograph with the baseball. Yeah, Rosita, thank you. It is the new world, the future. Caleb says looking off into the distance represents hope. And where they're looking off to a promising future, dreamers, happiness, always a new perspective. Absolutely. It depends, keep in mind, on the expression on the person's face. In some cases, like the young girl with the baseball, that expression was determination and power. In the case of Anne of Green Gables, and I think also of Sidney Poitier, it inspires us to become like them because they're looking into a future of hope, of dreams, of potential. And yes, see, it is to do with how we look at things from left to right in Western culture. You see somebody looking in the other direction, looking to the left, it's entirely possible they're looking back. Collins is a very different style of portrait. This is what we call an extreme close-up. Obviously, we know the history of Colin. He was the first football player to kneel for Black lives, and his career suffered. His contract has not yet been picked up. He's a greatly respected and admired person for his actions and his staunchness. He is making a demand of us, but I'm going to say that it's tempered by his expression. Quite an interesting expression. How would you describe the look on his face, especially in conjunction with the text? He says, believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. And then down there is the Nike logo with just do it. Yeah, you might have to move your, your speaker view a bit, if it helps. I have to move mine around on the screen quite a bit. Interesting descriptions here. He looks determined from Ollie. Sia says he looks like he has been through a lot, but regrets nothing. Harry says pleading with a hint of foreknowledge since he knows the consequence of his actions already, but he did it anyway for a cause he believed in. A soft but determined look. Serious, sad, but has determination to do something. No regret, but a bit solemn. A bit sad, but undeterred. Content with what he believes in. Bittersweet is a nice word to describe it. And Etter says he looks neutral, not happy, not sad, and can be read in many ways. And I agree, this is wisely chosen because we can read into it. And it's an interestingly cropped photograph. What are your eyes drawn to immediately? What's the focal point of this photograph? And it's coming through, eyes, 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 eyes. Yes, it is cropped so that we meet his eyes immediately. And who is he gazing at? Yeah, he's gazing at us, directly at us, right at the camera. So the demand on his part is indeed to believe in something, even if that means sacrifice. And of course, we know his history. We know that he sacrificed his career for something he believes in, though I would point out he has been picked up by Nike for an advertising campaign, and he's getting paid to do that. However, he lost the career that he loved and he believed in because he believed in something more. So this is powerful and convincing, and it is still, I mean, it's a wonderful portrait. Keep in mind, it is still an ad. It is trying to persuade us of something. And yes, do read the comments in the chat. They are wonderful. And a wonderful, wonderful portrait. The interesting thing is that in this case, Nike is not selling sneakers. What's it selling? It's selling social justice. Remember I said a minute ago that ads used to sell lifestyle? In this case, Nike is selling an idea. It's selling its brand on the idea of social justice. Keep that in mind. There is a trend in advertising these days to do that. Just need to keep an eye on the time because I can't see the computer clock. The fourth thing I want to share with you that you need to look at when you look at illustrations, this includes as well as still, is where is the subject of the picture? That is the person or the people in the picture placed in relation to the viewer. The second question in there is where is the viewer in relation to the subject's gaze? We just spoke about that with the portrait of Harry Belafonte and with the demands of Lord Kitchener and Colin in the Nike ad. So I've given you a little guideline up in the top left Essentially, if the subject of the picture is placed in relation to us, we're the viewers. Look at the portrait of the left of Queen Elizabeth II as a much younger woman. Where are we in relation to Queen Elizabeth? Are we above her, equal to her, that is on an equal level? Below her? Are we close up, far off? Yeah, we're below her. We can tell that immediately. That demonstrates her power. It gives us power over anyone looking at her portrait. If we find, well, this is going to be interesting. We're just going to keep on asking questions. Let's move to the photograph in the middle, this group of young children. This is from UNICEF, which is a charitable organization whose purpose is to help children. So where are we in relation to these children? Are we above them? Are we equal, or are we below them? Yeah, we're above them. We're the ones with power here. Why is that? For a charitable organization, Vashni tells us in her comment, demonstrating our power to give. Another question for you. Why do you think all these children are smiling or outright laughing? We have power over them. This is supposed to be persuading us to give to the charity, to donate. At Earth, that's a good start so that we can make the change for them. Yep, showing we're making them happy. We can make them happy if we donate. Bang on. That is exactly what this picture shows. Sorry. Yes, Farida also has it. They'll be so happy when we help them. Photographs like this are usually used in combination with a photograph of a child in need. So, child in need, and if we donate, here's how happy we can make these children. There is one more image on the right. If you can see it, it's for Huggies diapers. So are we above, equal to, or below in this particular image? Yeah, isn't that interesting? Here is a child, a small child on a package of diapers, and there's equal. This is also, is this a demand or is this an offer, by the way? Okay, why is it an offer as opposed to a demand? Even though the child is looking directly at us, which is supposed to mean that it's a demand. What changes things here? Not everyone needs diapers. Yeah, keep in mind the child is looking directly at us, or possibly, you know, you could construe this as over our shoulders or something. People automatically assume it's an offer because, and I think Caleb's right here, a child lacks the authority to make a demand. So very young child in this particular image, yeah, the company is offering children comfort and happiness with their products. So we're equal to this child, even though we know very well this child is going to be shorter than we are. The child is smiling. So this is a demand, but it's softened down into something like an offer. It's a really interesting image. And Etter is, this is interesting. Whoever has a child will know how important it is for them to be happy and smiling and not crying. Last thing I want to talk about with these three images is distance, because you also have to look at the distance between the subject and the viewer. So if we look at Queen Elizabeth, this is not long distance. If we look at the children, they are closer up. If we look at the child on the Huggies package, that is a close-up. If we go back to Colin, that is an extreme close-up. So the closer the image is, so long as it is friendly and smiling, the more friendly it becomes, and also the more intimate it becomes, which is interesting. Those children in the center are placed far enough off that we're not in their circle, we're looking down at it, but the child on the right is in close-up. So friendly, intimate, clearly designed to appeal to parents. And the last thing on this slide, when we look at Queen Elizabeth, where are we as the viewer in relation to her gaze? Where are we actually placed when you think about this image, besides below her? Where is she looking? Where would we have to be to meet her eyes? To the right, she's looking to our right. Yes. So in relation to Queen Elizabeth, we would have to be something like down over here, gazing up at her. My screen is mirrored, so I'm going to have to do that again. We would have to be down here looking up at her, which places us way, way out of the image. That makes us, generally speaking, even less powerful. In the case of the directness of the children, in both of these images, we are very clearly directly in front of the image or directly above the image. So here's another one. And this time it's your turn. So on the left, we have an iPhone. On the right, we have a Samsung. These are this is exactly what I mean by you're going to be choosing two directly competing products by two different companies. Here are two phones. Here are two sales campaigns. First question for you, start with iPhone. Is this a demand or an offer or something else here? Yep. Okay, can you actually see the eyes in this photograph, which is slightly blurred, by the way? It's interesting. Yeah, you can't see the eyes. There's no demand being made. There would be if we could see the eyes, but we can't see them. Focal point of this is, yes, the phone. Thank you, Andrea. It is the phone. And demand offer focuses on the gaze of the subject in the picture. We can't see the eyes in this one, so kind of like an offer. What about the one on the right for Samsung? Is this a demand or an offer? Demand, demand, demand coming through. Thank you. That is correct. Okay, now think about it. Who's got the power? The subject or the viewer? And tell us why. Think about things like, where are we in relation to the person in the photograph? How close are they? Where are we positioned in relation to them? Start with the one on the left, the apple. Interesting for the iPhone. So begin with the questions. We haven't mentioned modality in a while. Is this low or high modality, given that there's a slight blur in the image? Remember, we're going from cartoon to realistic high-res photograph. Okay, and I would like you to use the analysis tools that we've just learned. So if you're having difficulty with the Apple one, move to the Samsung. Where are we as the viewers in this image? Where are we in relation to the person holding the phone? Very interesting. We're to the left and the Samsung is to the right, showing to lead to the future. We should get a Samsung phone. Yes, start talking about the gaze of this person in the photograph. Where are we? Are we above, below, or equal? And what does that have to say? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We seem to be equal, but look at the placement. This is the full ad. Look at the placement. There's that tilt of the head downwards towards us. So we seem to be equal. When we follow his gaze, we are a little below. We've said this is a demand, and yes, we are as good as BTS if we buy Samsung. Thank you, Edgar. That about summarizes this ad. Interesting concepts. You need to go back and you need to look at things like distance. Why do you suppose this was shot medium range instead of close? Or in contrast, far away? Reading Etter's comment, which is fascinating. And I'll come back to that in a moment. Yep, it's a medium shot. What's the focal point of the image for the Samsung? Where does your eye light first in the Samsung ad? Yeah, the face. Those who recognize this person, especially, there would be that shock of recognition. So the person is the focal point and the phone is the second focal point. And if you're looking for vectors in this, if your eye light's on the face, then the angle of the neck and the shoulder and the hand pointing up all lead us to the phone. And yes, that's where it becomes, if you buy this phone, you can be equal. You might even become this person. I would like to go back to the Apple portrait on the left for a moment and Edder's comment. The power is with the subject because this person in the photograph is blurred. And that makes the person holding the phone insignificant in relation to the phone itself. So we have the power. We gain the power of privacy by buying the phone. Thank you very much for that, Etter. Before I end this part of the presentation, does anyone have questions or comments? Yeah, Farida, this is a very clever ad, the Apple ad, the blurring of the person so that we can't see them and the hiding of their eyes by the phone emphasizes the idea or the concept of privacy. Buy the iPhone and our privacy will not be invaded. So these are two very different concepts. The one on the left for Apple emphasizes privacy. We can't tell who it is behind the phone. The one on the right for Samsung is sales by celebrity. So you have a recognizable celebrity you can sell via that person. This one, however, unlike Nike's, if we go back and back, unlike Nike's, and this wonderful portrait, Nike is selling idea. There is no product in this picture. There is idea. Whereas if we move to the Samsung Galaxy phone, the celebrity is not selling an idea at all. The celebrity is selling a phone. So, do you have questions or comments? Just going to, if you don't, I'm going to stop screen sharing so I can see you again. Yay. So that's part of what you're going to be doing. Here we go. So one of the things that hopefully you'll end tutorial doing today is going off to think about what products you want to choose. Going to share my screen one more time so that we can take a look at exercise 3.1 is due about halfway through, but you need to start thinking about it now. You need to choose two companies' advertising campaigns for similar products. In other words, competing products. As I said, it's dish soap to dish soap. It's not car to computer. And analyze them according to the questions below. Your ads have to be current, that is from the past 5 years. And an ad campaign can include still images, commercials, or TikTok videos or short videos, pop-up ads, websites, merchandise such as t-shirts or mugs or pins, and so on and so forth. You may choose from any of the following categories, or you can get approval from your TA to choose campaigns in other areas. The one thing you can't do is you can't use the same ads we analyze in class. So should you choose to do Nike, that's fine. You just have to leave out the print ad of Colin Kaepernick because we've done it in class. You can use everything else. Your job is to compare two directly competing products, two types of beer, two types of laundry detergent, two companies, video game, advertising, two new phones, et cetera, et cetera. Here are the categories. I forgot one. I'm so sorry. I should have had cars down here, cars and trucks, and I forgot. But you have a wide range, and I will add cars here. You may think of something that you're drawn to that's not on the list. If so, ask your TA. Energy drinks, beer, fast food or snack food of any kind, including ice cream, coffee outlets, fashion, but you really would have to narrow down fashion. So you can compare men's and women's leisure wear for two different companies. You can compare jeans from two different companies, the advertising for them. You would have to do the same thing if you choose cosmetics. You can choose household products, diapers, children's toys, video games or gaming systems, sneakers, phones, computers, and other electronic devices. Or you can have your choice of things not on the list, but you need your TA's approval to do it. The questions you're to follow, or the questions you're to answer, we're asking you to create a coherent, flowing narrative, not just to answer the questions one by one. And we're also asking you to include links to online campaigns so we can look at the advertising. You're to examine your two companies' ad campaigns carefully. Who's the intended audience? Who's represented? Who is not? Is anyone not represented who should be? And who, if anyone, is commodified? We just had examples of all of this in the short video that the award-winning students' video showed us. How do the visuals add to the representation or its lack? Are there power relations at work due to camera angles, positioning, gaze, and everything else we've studied? What implications do your findings have for each product and its company? You're going to have to use at least one of the readings or viewings and cite it to justify your response. Maximum length for that is 500 words, which is approximately 2 double-spaced pages. And you need to bring a draft to your tutorial. I also want to show you the final assignment. This is also posted to YouTube. I do love watching videos. So your final assignment is ad campaigns analysis video. You're going to be analyzing the same two companies' ad campaigns for competing similar products that you did for exercise 3.1. You're going to be analyzing them for the same thing, but we've added accuracy and how does each company sell their product. You can see all the questions here. You're going to create a short video that uses materials from the company's campaigns as evidence for your own findings and claims. So you don't have to shoot your own footage. You're going to use voiceover to give an explanation of your findings and to discuss the implications. And you're going to refer to at least 2 of the required readings or required videos, viewings. You're going to acknowledge your sources. You're going to submit an MP4 format, 3 to 5 minutes. This is pretty straightforward. You have to include visual evidence from both companies' advertising campaigns, a voiceover analysis and explanation, at least 2 references, and citations of all sources used at the end of the video. We will make sure that free video editing software is available that works across multiple platforms in case you don't have your own. You can also, by the way, create a video just by using PowerPoint. We'll show you how to do that. We'll take you through how to design a video, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you leave tutorial today, start thinking and have fun with this. I think fun is kind of what we all need right now. It's freezing cold out there. There is no running water in my apartment today, and that means there's no heat. By the time we get to tutorial time, I will probably have 6 sweaters piled on. It's temporary. It'll all be back tomorrow. So I'd like you to have fun with this. Yes, if you ask your tutorial leader if you want to look at advertising campaigns for alcohol, yes, you can do that. And I want to show you one more thing, and that is gonna share my screen once again. I'm not going to share the sound. Here is Red Bull's Canadian site. And why aren't you? Yeah. My question for you is quite simple. Who is Red Bull's intended target audience? Red Bull is the same energy drink we looked at very early in my slideshow. It was the one, Red Bull gives you wings. So who's the target audience for Red Bull according to the Canadian site? Be more specific, please. We've got, yep, Canadians that enjoy sports, youth, young people, athletes. Here we go, male athletic youth. Yes, why is it male? Does anyone see any women in these films? You won't, because there aren't any. These are all young men, high energy. Why is there so much motion here? We get snowboarding. We get trucks moving. We get somebody running. Why is that? Why this visual representation? I mean, these people are incredible. We have bicycles moving. Yeah, exactly. There's all this movement. It's a drink that sells itself by saying you too will get high energy to be intensively active. The effects of the drink are supposed to be high energy and excitement. The energy drinks are all about moving and flying. And I can't remember who commented on this. I'm going to stop sharing again. Red Bull actually sponsors any number of sports, especially male sports, especially high action sports. Let me make it perfectly clear. You can get the same effect from drinking a cup of coffee with a spoonful of sugar in it. So save your money. Don't believe the hype. Ads are sold on. You can become like these people. You can take on their lifestyle. At least they used to be. That's how Red Bull sells itself. That's why there's that intense movement. You too can be energetic. You too can move like these people. It is intensely male. I looked through their website. I looked at their photographs of athletes. Amongst a plethora of young men, there is one woman. That is part of representation. So who's present? who's not present. You also want to look at things like race and culture. Who's not there and why not? So thank you very much. It's been so great to see all your little black squares, and those of you who showed up on camera, thank you for that. It's been a real pleasure seeing you again, hearing your comments today. We'll see you in tutorial. For the person who just asked about tutorial 3, I posted the link on eClass. Tutorial 3 is remote until at least January 31st. Rosita sent me a Zoom link and I posted it on eClass. Absolutely, yes, we will see you in tutorial today. Okay, so you're free to go. Thank you again. Bye for now.